What was the problem?
They just had to stop spending for a week and it would have reset.
And it resolved it. Yeah.
It's typically people's habits. They are buying before they need it.
Yep.
And they're spending the money before they've actually received it.
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately from the get-go, cash flow, you cannot spend your sales before you receive it.
Yeah.
You just flat out don't. Rule of thumb, don't do that.
All right, welcome back to Expandable. Today we're talking about cash flow. I think cash flow is one of the most, if not the most important things for companies to be focused in on and improving. And I think I want to keep it simple.
Okay.
What are some ways that, you meet with a lot of companies and look at their financial statements. What are some easy ways that business owners can improve their cash flow? I'll start us off. Get paid faster. Right? Your invoices are going out, making sure that money's coming back in quicker.
Yeah.
Shorter terms, net terms with your clients or, from the vendor side, how your money is going out. So money coming in, money going out. You want to try to extend those terms as much as possible so that, you've got some buffer and that can free up some cash. What do you think?
Cash flow, it always goes back. When I started in banking in the early 2000s, 2001, I was in the retail section and I would see businesses coming out, and that's who usually comes into the banks. If they're regulars, it's usually businesses doing change orders or they're coming, the account deficit, and they're coming in to make it good.
Yeah.
I think I'm pulling away. And I remember the businesses that had cash flow issues and they were bouncing checks, and every day, and they would look, there was a couple of businesses, they would spend upwards of $1,500 a month in fees.
Oh my gosh.
And bounce checks. But that's where they set up their business. And some of them were and these were businesses that have been around 10 years. I remember one in particular that, they did linens, but you'd have that conversation with them and you're like, you're giving us $2,000 a month in fees.
Yeah.
We had to charge it because there was a risk because money wasn't going to be in the account. We're paying it, so we could get stuck. So early on, immediately kind of knew.
So
like
why
cash
were
flow.
they? What was the problem?
They just had to stop spending for a week, and it would have reset.
And it resolved it. Yeah.
It's typically people's habits. They are buying before they need it.
Yep.
And they're spending the money before they've actually received it. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, from the get-go, cash flow, you cannot spend your sales before you receive it.
Yeah.
You just flat out don't. Rule of thumb, don't do that.
So tighten the belt for a little while.
If you're in that position of cash flow into that, you have to tighten the belt. You have to cut out and eliminate everything and have only the essentials.
Yeah. Cutting non-essentials.
That is the exact basics. And, now today people can't really get away with check kiting, but they do float things in ways of delaying a day to make a bill pay, delaying this, and having issues of, paying their bills. Mm-hmm. So that's how they're handling the cash flow. They're not issuing a check and then, waiting a couple of days and then deposit in the bank. Mm-hmm. Those days are typically long gone. Yeah. So now they're just delaying their bills and they're picking and choosing what vendors they're getting behind.
Right. On the sales side, offering prepaid packages or discounts for paying up front. So if it's a monthly service and you say pay for the whole year.
If you're in that position and now you're in cash flow, you got to get it. Mm-hmm. Yes, get it as quickly as possible. Look through your agent report.
Yep.
And two, segment off. If you have a certain group of customers that are behind, those may be the ones that you are spending the most time on as well. Mm-hmm. Because typically they're the most demanding and they pay you the less because there's always a reason. There's always this. So something maybe you don't want a product. Something's always made up. It's your position.
Ultimately, I would say that's probably the number one. If you dive deep on that, I think that's the number one thing that can fix your business when it comes to cash. Because if you're offering something to the market that's of a high value to a certain type of customer and you're working with those customers, all is good.
If you have sales in a margin and you're not having that, the issue is you.
Yeah, right. If you're working with the wrong customers, even though they're buying your stuff and you might be making money to some degree, it may not be the right customer. I think that's really hard for business owners to dial that back into saying, okay, we're going to get rid of some of these. There's a book called Built to Sell, and it's kind of a narrative about how to this guy who reinvented his agency to be sellable. And I think as you look through that, it's one big piece is firing some customers that aren't paying as much, aren't good, they're late on payments, whatever, and go and find the right customers. And that's a big risk, I think, but taking that risk is so worth it, even if you do it incrementally over time. Not monthly cash flow as far as a tip, but just building a cash reserve is always a good idea. So if you've been thinking about it, trying to do that, if you were to go through your inventory and everything, run a flash sale, try to sell a bunch of stuff off that's been in inventory for a little while, to get a cash infusion, put that in the bank. I think you could reduce expenses while you're doing it at the same time. So you could probably knock two birds out one time. So there's some good things there to start putting money aside, and having money aside is going to be helpful for the month to month as well. It gives you that extra measure of peace of mind. Secure line of credit.
Correct. If you're having expansions and you're growing and your cash is coming in, you're having margins, but you're having to outlay for employee cost, but you've got it locked down. Yes. Yep. Then you can free up maybe buffer. Some assets and some equity within your building as opposed to going out and raising other debt means and
that's higher interest or equity or whatever.
Reducing ownership. Yep.
Yeah. Seasonal forecasting. Instead of just backing into each season and dealing with it because you're dealing with so many problems, you're wearing a lot of hats. Take some time to look ahead and say, what are the patterns?
It's funny, us down here, we're based out of Central Florida, so a lot of the seasons, it gets a little bit slower in the summers and, the holidays, but we're not as bad a seasonal as up north when you've just got, now you're freezing where, the
salt on the
construction
roads
trade's done and it completely alters business. Yeah.
Here it's hot and hotter. I would say to wrap this up would be visibility into your cash flow. So having weekly check-ins or some kind of, if you don't have a CFO or you have an accountant or, accounts bookkeeper, setting kind of a course for what you want to see and looking at that weekly or monthly. So you have a rhythm of looking at your accounts, making sure that you're on top of it. The same thing with a personal budget.
And that goes to, and I was actually having the conversation, or CFO and I, we were talking about things because we're trying to train people that don't have a natural accounting instinct and how to do that and when to, when you did a work in a month, but yes, you got the payment a week later. Yeah. Where in accounting? No, you got to register it in the month that you perform the work in and things like that are instinctual. So, it's not instinctual to everybody. So
that's right. Like budgeting, budgeting for your household bills is not instinctual for me.
Yeah.
So I got to sit down and gear my mind.
But there's key metrics throughout the month that I think you need to look at your numbers to kind of see, because you can't always rely on the numbers in your bank account because those could be allocated.
Right.
Of the flow back and forth. So you've got to have a kind of couple key critical numbers to where all right, if this defers more than 10%, I need to drill down harder.
Yeah. And by doing that, you're going to start to change your behavior in how you're spending because you're going to remember, I actually don't have that money to spend, so I can't buy this thing.
And I would say it's simple on things that you pay annually or semi-annually. Even if you're a small business, you need to start, because you could have upwards of, $6,000-$10,000 worth of payments that you're doing, semi-annually, annually, and you forgot about that. But, you need to make sure each month, hey, did we make enough to cover the $2,000 extra, the $24,000 a year, and annual benefits that we got to pay. Yeah, so I think that a lot of time gets people in the end. So, and then there's going to go your cash flow at the end.
Yep. Good. That's good tips. Okay. On to the next one.